If a file contains missing value, in that case we can use this function as a to fill up a spaces. In a note.txt, you can see these 3 points. This is how line by line it writes into the system using the name called notes.txt. So here you can see write.table data file data.txt. It will be separated row names as a false. Parameter is also called arguments or as a parameter, and also arguments are the same term in functions. Hello students, welcome to the session 1 of unit 2 in statistical computing and also R programming. So in the last session we already discussed about the unit 1. So let's recap about the data. So for example, data structures and also what do you mean by R programming, and also some data types. These are all comes under the the introduction of the R. So let's discuss about the unit 2, the first session in a unit 2. So let's discuss what are all the contents. So the unit 2 which contains reading and writing files. So this is Asha, Faculty of Computer Science at Vidhyaashram First Grade Degree College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So here you can see in today's session we can cover about the reading and writing files, functions, and also how to call that functions. So let's discuss one by one topic. So here you can see reading files. The name itself says we have to read the files. Consider one example. If you have to read one text file, you have to use a scanner as a input device. So likewise we have to use a reading files in a R programming. It provides some basic functionalities, that is functions, for reading any type of file like a text file or PDF file or like a image file or as a text file, and also CSV file, that is a Excel file. Like this can be provided by the R programming. Let's see what is the definition of reading file. In R programming, reading files involves importing data from various file formats. A file format can be anything like a text, audio, image, likewise anything. So into the data analysis. So already said to you already got to know what exactly the R is, for mainly data analysis and also statistical purpose, and also visual representation. So here it will read the data for the data analysis. For example, if a file contains only text, if a file contains only images, we have to analyze what type of image is this, or we have to read. So again and again we can't open that file. In that case we can read the file using the reading functions. This process allows you to work with data sets stored on your computer and also from other sources. So here you can see what are all the functions provided by the R. So here you can see reading text files. So reading text files means for data manipulation and also is core of any data analysis task, and also for reading data files is the first step towards the goal. So we have to read the any files. So to know about what exactly the file contains. And also there are various functions and also methods to available. If you want to read the data, we have to use some built-in function and also providing functions by the R to reading any file. So let's discuss what are all the. In this article we can delve with the various techniques and also functionality to read the data. And let's see what are all the functions we can get to know. Here you can see the first one is delim, and also read delim2, and also read TSV, and also some even means CSV files also. So here you can see the first one, the read delim. It is mainly used for the reading purpose, means reading files in R. So let's discuss what is the meaning of read delim function, specifically designed for read delimited files. So which contains any comma or as a semicolon. So if a file contains only text along with the commas and also semicolon and also double quotes, it can read. That's why it's a delimited file. These files are commonly used for storing structured data, for storing a ordered way of data. So and also where columns are separated by a tab character. So here you can see the columns are separated by a tabs, means it will like arrange in a structured way or a ordered way. So that's why it's a structured data. This function is highly customized and also various parameters to handle different scenarios, such as handling missing values, specifically column classes, and also more. If a file contains missing value, in that case we can use this function as a to fill up spaces. And also here you can see the basic syntax of the read delim. So we have to call the read delim. So read.delim. It's not a read delim. We have to call using the function that is read.delim with a open and close parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, we have to pass the parameters. Why? Because it's a function, right? So that's why we have to file. So file is nothing but we have to declare the file before itself while calling the what? Read.delim. So file is nothing but if a file is stored in your C drive. So for example, C drive, the data will be stored like a store.txt. This is your file. So this file will be accessed as a parameter into the read.delim, and also header is true. Header is true is nothing but if a file contains any header sections, so that's why header also printed, and also separated by tab. So as I already know the statement is a structured data, so that's why it's a separated by tab characters, right? So that's why we have to use a tab with a separate is my variable name, and also with a double quotes /t, and also for decimal points we have to close the file. And also here you can see one example. Consider one example how it will be worked. Suppose you have to have a file name called sales.txt. So under the sales.txt is a text file. Under that means inside that file you have some text files, means text data. So when I import using the what? Read.delim with a tab delimited content, you can use a read.delim to read the data into the sales.data. So here you can see we assign a read.delim, whatever the data after the execution, that will be stored under the sales.data and call the read.delim. So you already know within a double quotes we have to call what? Sales.txt. So directly you can pass the parameter as sales.txt, means sales data text. So either you can give a file header true. These two possibilities are okay. This is how you have to use the read.delim function under the reading files. So let's see one more. So here you can see the read.table, the second one, reading the files which is stored in a table format, that is why read.table. So if a data is stored in a table format like a structured way, so we can access that file or access that text file or any file format using what? Read.table. So it's a function that can be used to read a file in a table format, and also the data will be imported as a data frame. For syntax, we have to use what? Read.table as a function. You have to pass the parameter file and also header and also separated, and if any decimal point, means floating point it contains, it is also printed in a text file. So here you can see one illustration of the read.table. So for that we need a variable name. For variable name I am assigning a read.table function. So in a read.table, so we already know the file name, so which will be stored in your computer. So give that name or any file name. So that is in a .csv, means it is in a CSV format. So table format which is also in a Excel format, right? So comma separated value. CSV is nothing but a comma separated value. And also when I print this data, so here you can see the output will be like a showed like a frame wise, means column wise. So that's why it is also a structured way of storing. So the first one, name, age, qualification and address. So this file contains these text means. So here you can see this file contains all the details of name, age, qualification and also address. So this is how the frame wise, name is one frame, age is one frame, qualification and also age. This is how the frame wise will be, output will be displayed. So let's see for writing. So we already get to know what exactly the reading files, and also one more is scanf. So this is all about the other programming language. We already know scanf. These are all the reading. So for writing means we have to print the data into the console in the RStudio. So let's see. In R programming, writing files refers to the process of saving a data from a R object such as vector, data frame, matrices to a file on your computer. So this is how the definition of the writing files. This is often done by preserve result and share. So to store the result for a longer duration, we use a writing.file. So here you can see there are various functions provided by the R. So let's see one by one. The first one, writing data to CSV files. For writing data to CSV files means we have to write the data. So before going to print, we have to write the data and save the data. The data format will be stored into your system. So let's see how it done by. So when it comes to storing tabular data, the write to file in concept becomes a remarkably handy, and also CSV files will be written. So let's see the first one. Under the writing data to CSV files, we have to use a what? Write.csv. When I use write.csv, I have to write whatever the data I have to store into my system under the write.csv with the file extension or the file name, whatever the file name. So here you can see how it will be generated. If you can effortlessly write a data CSV file using a built-in function called what? Write.csv. These are all built-in functions. So write.csv function. So let's see the example. Consider a suppose you have a data related to the sales of different products. So consider one example. You have a sales details, means who are all the sales details. So that will be stored using the what name? Sales data.csv. So through the practical, means through the code, how we can execute. So here you can see the sample sales data. So the sales data will contain some attributes or the variable name, right? So first one, product names. What are all the products name? So you have to use concatenate all the products into single vector. So that's why see product A, product B, and also product B. These are all the string, right? That's why double quotes. And also sales amount. So the sales amount is in a numerical or as a integer. So that's why numbers. So when I call the sales data variable name, so for that I use a data frame. Why? Because which divides in a data frame formats. So call the product is equal to product names. When I assign product is my frame name, for that name I assign a variable name called product names to what? Products. And also for sales, I assign a sales amount. So sales amount here you can see, this is how you can assign a values. When I use to write data to CSV files, call the write.csv. So in a sales data, you already have whatever the operations you are done. So here it is, write.csv means sales data. So here you can see the data will be stored in which variable? Sales data. So that's why sales data with the file name. What is the file name to save into the system is what? Sales data.csv. In that extension, it will be directly stored into the system. So we explicitly write the code to save the data in your system. For reading already saved data, we have to read the data. That is the differentiate, don't confuse. So row names what? If a row names, any rows names are there, you can give a true. So there is no rows name. So that's why you have to give a false as a result. So here you can see, check if the file is created. So is a file is created or not? So that's why I have to check, right? So that's why directory function means dir means directory function. And also here you can see DRI is a function name. So here you can see the output will be sales data.csv. When you open sales.csv file, it will be stored what? Products and also the amount 1000 for product B, 1500 for product C, 800. This is how the data will be stored. Let's see another one example for the writing files. So here you can see write.csv. Again we have to call a write.csv. Why? Because one more example demonstration specifically designed to write a CSV means comma separated values. As I already told in a previous slides, CSV means comma separated values, that is in a Excel files or a Excel software. So here you can see call the data variable. For that I use a data.frame is a data structure. Assign X. X is my frame name, Y is also my frame name. In X we have to use what? 1 to up to 5. And for letters means I give a 1:5. So 1:5 in the sense we have to give a write.csv, whatever the data here pass here, and also file we have to store this file as a data.csv, and also rows names is false. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also it is A, B, C, D. And all. Likewise, it will be printed. So let's see one more. So here you can see write.table. So we can write. In a previous slide, we already know read.table. So here we have to write explicitly into the system. So that is what? write.table. This function writes a data frame or matrix to a text file. So let's see how. Call the data.frame. So assign to the what? Data variable and also x and also y. So here you can see write.table, data file, data.text. It will be separated row names as a false. So here also data.text will be printed like a frame wise. And also here you can see using the write lines, we can using the write line. Write line is also one of the writing a file. So the function name is contains a write lines. R provides the write lines function to write character vector or string to text variables. So let's see, suppose you have a list of important points you want to save to a text file. So if you have a notes to make a important points, so you can write it like you can store that data as a notes.text. So let's illustrate through the R code. How? So notes. You have to pass whatever the notes you have to remember point wise. Remember to double check the data. Experiment with a different visualization technique. Any notes, because it's a text file, right? Whatever the wish you have to, you can store the data with the string characters. So here 3 points are there. Update the readme file with the latest information. So that is the notes. So when I call the write lines function, pass the parameter called notes, and also I have to save that file into notes.text. So for storing, it is stored or not, we have to double check, right? Because the file, after creating the write lines, this data will be stored in the system or not. For that, we have to check a condition called dir function, means directory function. When you open directory with the open and closing, it's also a function. It will store what? Notes.text. In a note.text, you can see these 3 points. This is how line by line it writes into the system using the name called notes.text. Got it now? So now function. So what do you mean by function? A function is nothing but it accepts input arguments and also produces the output by executing the valid R commands that are inside the function. So if we want to execute any function, we have set of codes or set of blocks will be executed for a particular range of time. So functions are useful when you want to perform a certain task. So as I already told, if a sequence of condition will be executed, for that purpose we have to use a function. So set of or block of code, it will be executed multiple times. And at most the what condition will be executed. So what are all the parameters? Before going to the function syntax, we have to know what are all the parameters we have to pass to the functions. So parameters are the arguments. So parameter is also called arguments, or as a parameter and also arguments are the same term in functions. And also parameters or arguments are the value passed into the function. We can pass the values also or as a variables also. And also a function can have any number of arguments. They are separated by comma in parenthesis. So it will be separated. If a function contains 2 variables, we can separate using the what? Comma. So let's see the syntax of function. So you will clearly get to know what exactly the function. So here you can see creating a function in a R programming or in a programming means the function are created by using the R, using the command called function. So in other programming language, we have to call the functions using the inbuilt functions only. But here, when the keyword will be all are case sensitive, means we have to use the small letters, not the capital letters. So call the function open and close. The general structure of this function file is follows. So here you can see the pictorial means how the syntax will be look like. So f is my function name. For function, for f, I assign a function keyword. Function is a keyword. Why? Because it is a small letter. So that's why. So here you can see within the function we have to pass the parameter. Parameter can be any type. So open the parenthesis and set of block of code should be executed within the function and close that. So here function, f is a function name. So function keyword is assigned to what? F. So that's why my function name is called f. So here you can see any number of function or any name you can give, or as a code or as a R. You can give any number or any name to the function name. So in the above syntax, the function f is the function name and also this means that you are creating a function with the name called what? F, which takes a certain arguments to execute block of code, or to execute any code we have to set the block of code inside the what? Function. So let's see the one example, one simple example how it will be worked for addition of what? To add two numbers we have to call the function. So here you can see add number. As I already told, function is assigned to what? Variable name called add number. So that's why function is assigned to add number, and pass the parameters with the a, b, two variables. So inside the parenthesis, open the flower parenthesis after declaring some result a plus b and return some result. So whatever the a plus b after giving the function name, so we have to, the result will be displayed using the return statement. Close that function. Whenever we close the function, so we can create a call sum is equal to add numbers of 35, 34. Why? Because we have to call, after declaring the function, you have to call that function. Then only it will be executed. So if you create only the function block, if you're not calling that function again, it will not execute it because it doesn't create any error, but there is no output displayed. So that's why you have to call the add number function. So you already know what is the function name. Call that function name. So assign with the what? Sum. So we have to pass the parameters called 35, 34. Why? Because so here you can see a, b is my two variable name. I passed as the arguments. So when I print using the sum is to store the sum values. When I using the print statement with the sum variable, it gives the output what? 35 plus 34 is 69, right? So likewise you can use the functions as your requirement. So here you can see how to call that function. After creating a function, you have to call the function to use it. So calling a function in R is a very easy, and also you can call a function by writing its name and also passing the possible parameters. So as I already told, passing a parameters into the function is almost easy, right? In previous example, you already know what exactly how to the pass a parameter and how to call that function. So here you can see one simple another example how to call that function. So rectangle is your variable name. I assign to the function and also pass a parameters length is equal to 5. I already told what type of parameters we can give, any type of like a character, strings or variables, any type of that could be in a valid. So then only the arguments or the parameters will be accepted by the function. So I assign a length is equal to 5, width is equal to 4. Open the flower parenthesis. Area is calculated. Area is nothing but a length into breadth. So when you return the area, for return area, so whatever the data after processing, it will be returned by the area. Area is store the actual value. When I call that area using the return function, it will be displayed. So for that, we have to call the function name. For in the first case, I call print statement because I have to print the whatever the result after processing the output, right? So call the print statement, call the rectangular. Why? Because rectangle is my what? Function name. So that's why. And also the function contains what? Length is equal to 5, width is equal to 4. So here also I pass the 2 and 3. Why? Because so here you can see first whenever we call the data, means whenever we first assign the values to the function, it will be executed. So that's why 6. 2 into 3, 6. So in a second case, again print, call the rectangular and also width is equal to 8, length. So when you multiply 8 into 4, you got 32 for the second case, and also for the third case, only rectangular, open and close parenthesis, but there is no arguments because it is the default function. We can also say this is the default function. Why? Because in the first, when we declare the function in startingly, so we declare the length into breadth. But here we didn't pass any arguments as a names or the numbers. So that's why in lastly, the actual output means 5 into 4 is 20. This is how the function calling will be worked. So let's see some types of the function. So here you can see types of the function available in our language. The first one, in every language has its own built-in functions and also user-defined. So likewise R has own its built-in function and also what? The user-defined function. So here you can say a built-in function in R is a predefined function that are available. So it is what R console or the R programming is provided to the user for the easy purpose or the data analysis purpose for making user friendly. So R provides built-in functions. So in R programming language to perform common task or operation. So come to the user defined. User defined means ours. So for example, if we want to declare a function name for our purpose or the requirement by the user, they can use the user defined function. R allows to write our own function. It's our own function. So let's discuss built-in function. Our built-in functions are the functions that are already existing in the R language and you just need to call them to use. So it's already built in means inbuilt functions. It's already done by the R programmers. So we have to call that inbuilt function name like a sum, square root, absolute. These are all the inbuilt function. In next slide we can see. So here we use a inbuilt functions like a sum and also max and also min. So min means minimum number it will be displayed. Max means maximum number it will be displayed. For sum we need a 2 numbers that will be printed. So here you can see what are all the example we can see. For the example, find the sum of 2 numbers. We have to find the sum of 2 numbers like a 4 and also 6. So when I call the print is also function, sum is also function, but print will be displayed the whatever the output. So sum is inbuilt function you already know, but I use a sequence 4:6. 4:6 means we have to use a 4, 5, 6. It will be sum 4, 5, 6. So from 4 to 6 it will be printed. And also find maximum of numbers. When I use max, it will be printed as 4, 5, 6. When I use 4, 5, 6, the maximum number it will be what? 6. And also minimum number of 4 and 6, min of 4:6. So here you can see how it will be generated. For the first case, you got the output 15. Why? Because 4 plus 6 plus 10, 10 plus 5, 15. Because 4:6 means the sequence from the 4 starting and also ending to the what? 6. When I add 4, 5, 6, I got a sum as 15. So comparing 4, 5, 6. So 4, 5, 6, the maximum number is what? 6, right? And also comparing 4 sequence up to what? 6, the minimum number is 4. This is how the inbuilt functions will be worked. And also here you can see some more examples of the functions, what are all the providing by the R. So let's look at the list of built-in functions and their use. So these are all some available or the inbuilt or the built-in functions available in our apps. So calculate a number's absolute value. So if I calculate the any number of absolute value, it will be calculated using what? ABS, open and close. So that is also a function, that is built-in function. Square root. So if I want to find out the square root of any numbers like a 9, so I get a 3. And also for round, rounds is a number that will nearest integer. It will round up the nearest integer values. And also exponential, calculates the number exponential. For a number, we have to find the exponential of that number. So you can use the exponential means exp. And also for log, so which calculates the numbers natural logarithms. So we have to use the logarithm. For that you have to use what? Log as a function name. And also for cos, sine, these are all the some trigonometric methods, right? So that's why we have to use. So in that case, call the cos, sine and also tan. It calculates the number cosine and also sine and also tangent of the any number. This is how the inbuilt function and also built-in function and also user-defined function will be declared in a R programming. Thank you.